Kenzo Homme Santal Marin is the new flanker to one of my favorite freshman's fragrance lines. I bought this as soon as I saw it, and I'm gonna try it out for the first time. Now, if you're not familiar with this line, then I highly recommend checking out my Kenzo Homme comparison, which I'm gonna link to above and in the description below. The three I previously bought are all unique fresh fragrances that I really enjoy wearing, so this will be very exciting. Before I begin, a like is highly appreciated, thank you, and make sure you follow. And I would absolutely love to hear from you and your thoughts on Santal Marin. Do you think this is a good men's fragrance, or do you dislike it? Some of the notes in Kenzo Homme Santal Marin are sea notes, lavender, sandalwood, and gaiac wood. So if you're a subscriber, then you know that I rarely, pretty much never, talk about the bottle. But I actually, and I know some of you absolutely hate these bottles, I don't like the cap. This easily comes off, but I do think the bottles are quite cool. Now, they actually changed stuff a bit. So this thing, I'm not sure you can see this, the bottom half of this doesn't seem to be made out of the same sort of plastic as the top part. So I actually like this. This now has a bit more weight to it and actually feels a bit more sort of exclusive. But like always, this has pretty much never been about the bottle. A nice bottle is always appreciated, but it has always been about the juice. So let's see the opening. Okay, straight away you pick up on that sort of a signature Kenzo Homme DNA straight away. And yeah, that sort of a quite unique oceanic vibe and DNA is still present here. And I actually absolutely love the opening straight away. This, at least based on this first impression and like the first sprays, is basically, in a nutshell, sort of a simplified the Kenzo aquatic DNA. So if you ever tried the others, you will in one way or another sort of recognize that DNA here. I'm not sure if one of the others has more saltiness to this, but this, at least to my nose, is quite salty in the opening. But here's the sort of a biggest twist to this. This quite early in the opening has a quite noticeable dose of a beautiful lavender. So you basically have that fantastic, quite unique aquatic DNA going on that's quite salty in this version, together with a noticeable dose of lavender. But here's the thing, the freshness of the lavender, that sort of a bright aromatic freshness of the lavender, seems to go from being like quite bright and fresh right in the opening to softening up quite quickly as this sort of heads into the mid. And as the lavender's brightness sort of softens up, I'm getting something slightly woody smoky instead. It doesn't matter how much I dig my nose into my hand. Unfortunately, it pretty much feels like the lavender is gone in the dry down, at least based on this first impression. So I absolutely loved the opening. The opening is a beautiful one, however, it didn't last that long. The mids is definitely a nice one. I mean, I absolutely love this DNA, so I feel that if you enjoy that DNA, Kenzo Homme aquatic DNA, then you will most likely enjoy the mids as well. The dry down is quite a woody affair together with that fantastic aquatic DNA. However, I would probably have loved for the aquatic side of this to have been more intense. So like a quick comparison, this is not going to be an in-depth comparison of all of these, but based on this first impression, I do feel that the Kenzo Homme, the eau de parfum, is the sort of a darkest and heaviest of them all. So you have that leather, you have quite a prominent dose of woodiness together with an aquatic side, that signature Kenzo Homme aquatic side. However, this is the least fresh, even though it has a dose of freshness. The EDT Intense has a bit more depth and a lot more layers to it, a lot more sort of nuances to it with its fruity freshness and woodiness. This is absolutely beautiful. And I do feel that Kenzo Homme Marine is still the lightest and most fresh out of all of these. I also feel that this has the most creamy version of sandalwood out of at least these three. And this is also the one that goes in the most sort of a tropical, fresh, creamy direction. So in a way, it almost feels like they based Santal Marin on the EDP, but made it much lighter and added that lavender to make it even brighter. However, since the lavender, at least based on this first impression, disappears when this heads into the mids and the dry down, I do feel that this is still like the one that is freshest for the longest. So here are my initial thoughts on compliments and mass appeal. This is definitely more mass appealing than the Eau de Parfum. However, I do feel that the Marine is more mass appealing and more of a head turner of a scent than this, and the same thing goes for the EDT Intense. Both of those stand out. Both of those are head turners and both of those are compliment getters. This has less of what makes the others head turners. So while most people will most definitely think you smell good with this on, this has a bit less personality than those. Based on how this is oozing from my skin and how it sort of stays in the air around me, this actually feels a bit less strong compared to pretty much all of them. Now, I do want to say this is just based on this first impression. I really gotta wear this more, so I will get back to you on that. This, at least based on this first impression, is something I feel you definitely can use to pretty much any occasion throughout the year. But this is more of a fresh scent that is more leaning more towards spring and summer. But yeah, I mean, you can use this throughout the year. Use this to work, use this to school, use this when you are going out or when you are going to the gym or when you are going on a date. Pretty much whenever, wherever. However, I'm gonna say actually I would much rather spray on Marine and EDT Intense if I'm going on a date and I really want something that is quite noticeable. So what are some of the alternatives to Kenzo Homme Santal Marin? The most obvious alternatives are of course within the line that sort of share that signature aquatic DNA. So we have Kenzo Homme, the Eau de Parfum. This to me is a darker, heavier version of this. So if you prefer something that is a bit more heavy, woody and leathery together with that aquatic DNA, then this is definitely the one to go for. For something quite different, you have Kenzo Homme Marine. So I probably said Marine for this, but this is Marine and this is Marine. This, at least to me, is more fresh than this. This is creamy, tropical, woody and fresh with that signature Kenzo Homme DNA. I absolutely love this one. So if you want like the freshest out of these, then definitely go for the Marine. If you want something with a lot of layers to it, that is woody, fruity, sweet and aquatic, then definitely take a look at the EDT Intense. Then we have Le Beau Paradise Garden from Jean Paul Gaultier. Now, I know some feel that Le Beau Paradise Garden has a super similar kind of aquatic freshness as that is present in this line. I feel there are hints of it, nuances of it, but I do not feel these are equal. But the reason why I wanted to mention this is because this goes in an even more sort of a tropical direction than the Marine. So this, you have like a marine and green kind of freshness with a bit of mintiness and that fantastic dose of vanilla and coconut that you can find in the Le Beau line. So this is definitely a fantastic alternative. So who's this fragrance for? I think that if you enjoy that Kenzo Homme aquatic DNA, then you will most likely enjoy this. I also feel that you should probably enjoy the scent of sandalwood because this has a prominent dose of it. And you should probably enjoy the scent of lavender as well, because even though the lavender pretty much disappears in the dry down, the opening through to the mids have a quite prominent dose of lavender. If you already tried the others and absolutely dislike that aquatic Kenzo Homme aquatic DNA, then this is probably not for you. So my final thoughts on Kenzo Homme Santal Marin based on my first impressions of it. I absolutely love that aquatic DNA, so I do enjoy this fragrance. However, is this something that at least based on this first impression, blows me away? No. So I do like it and I'm happy that I bought it. However, this doesn't make me smile nowhere near the way Kenzo Homme Marine does. And the same thing goes with Kenzo Homme Intense. Both of those, as soon as I spray them on, I smile and I just feel so good wearing them. Also, I mean, come on, it was absolutely brilliant with the lavender in the opening. I would have loved for that lavender to have been more prominent throughout the entire sort of a life of this scent. So nice for sure, but I definitely do not think this is as good as Kenzo Homme Marine and the EDT Intense. And I do want to say that if you are a bit like me in that you absolutely love the other ones, especially the Marine and the EDT Intense, then I would say do not expect this to be the same and avoid blind buying just to make sure that you actually enjoy the scent. So I would absolutely love to know how you feel about Kenzo Homme Santal Marin. Do you feel a bit like me in that they toned down a bit too much what made the others so good? Or do you absolutely love it, or do you absolutely hate it? Like this video, thank you, I really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe and make sure you check out my comparison of the other ones, and I'll see you in the next one.